Welcome to Boys and Girls Haven Boarding School, a boarding school where no one is allowed to leave, at least not alive. Many years ago, in the city of Port Harcourt in Rivers State, there lived a couple named Dike and his beautiful wife Ama, the jewel of the masses. They were wealthy people who lived in a palace surrounded by a tall fence like an iroko tree and guarded by very big dogs the size of a lion. They had heavy security with stern faces and tough body like that of bouncers. The couple had two beautiful children, Luca, 18, and Luna, 16, who were spoilt, rebellious children. Dike and Ama were the perfect power couple people admired, and young women even looked up to them as role models. They owned several estates, schools, orphanages, you name it. They were known for their kind hearts and humanitarian service they rendered in the city. The couple owned several NGOs and women empowerment organizations that had trained thousands of youth and women in schools and vocational training centers. They were like celebrities in Port Harcourt and their hometown, Bonny, and people loved them. Whenever they went out, cameramen and TV stations would follow them up and down, trying to capture each moment with them. They were like the local Ronaldo and Georgina. They went almost everywhere together, holding each other's hands sweetly for the camera. And every Sunday, the couple and their two children would go to church and worship and praise passionately and devotedly, lifting their holy hands in worship. But everything was for show, for the camera, for public opinion. Their lives within the tall fence they built around themselves were far from perfect. They were like business partners living together in the same house. In fact, those high walls held deep secrets that could make even the devil himself tremble and pay homage to Dike and his wife Ama. The couple had a special boarding school where young children within the ages of 14 to 20 were kept like chickens, kept in a cage to lay eggs, and to use for feeding and satisfying their demonic plans. To the outside world, it was a normal boarding school where less privileged boys and girls were given the opportunity to go to a good school and become better in the future. But inside, something dark and sinister happened every day. The boarding school wasn't about education at all. There were no real classes, no books, no future. It was a place they took vulnerable children and turned them into tools for other people's gain. Dreams were sold, trust was exploited, and once a child walked through the gate, there was no way out, no holidays, no visitors, no freedom. The first boy Dike ever brought there was 16-year-old John. John was an orphan, working as an apprentice for the mechanic who fixed Dike's car. He had nothing and no one except his boss who gave him a place to sleep. Dike noticed him. He started giving John food, small money, kind words. To John, a famous actor showing interest felt like a miracle. One day, Dike said, "I have a special boarding school. You would study, finish strong, and I'll make sure you get a good job." John had never been to school a day in his life. This sounded like the only chance he would ever get. With his boss' permission, John followed Dike. First, Dike took him to a big house. New clothes, good food, everything John had never known. John thought his life was finally changing for the better. Then Dike said one day, "Time to go to the school." When the car stopped at the gate, everything changed. High walls, heavy security, no way in or out. The promises disappeared. There were no lessons, only work, control, and a system designed to keep the children trapped and silent. No one outside really knew what was happening behind those walls that kept him trapped. The next girl Ama lured into the school with empty promises was a young girl named Zara. a 17-year-old girl who Ama picked up from a small orphanage. She told the orphanage director that she was sending Zara to her private boarding school, where she would learn alongside children from wealthier families and secure a better life after graduating. The orphanage director, trusting Ama and her reputation, agreed without hesitation. Zara was sent off, believing she was about to receive an opportunity that would change her life forever. No questions asked, no drama. After all, everyone knew Ama as a godly woman. That was how Zara found herself in the school. But soon, the truth became clear. The school was not the place she had imagined. More and more like Zara were lured in with false promises. Some were brought in from nearby towns, others from farther away, all hopeful, innocent, and eager to improve their lives. Ama's popularity only grew, as did Dike's influence. Their power grew with each new recruit. They opened more NGOs and training centers, appearing to serve the public, while behind the scenes, their boarding school became a trap, a prison disguised as an opportunity. One night, Luna and Luca snuck out of their parents' mansion to attend a party they had been invited to by their friends. Ama and Dike were fast asleep, completely unaware that their children were out partying. The gates opened, and their friends picked them up in a sleek car, heading straight to the party. Once they arrived, they danced and laughed, enjoying the night. They all had a blast. But that night, something unexpected happened. The bartender slipped something into the drinks of Luna and Luca, and soon their heads were spinning. The world around them started to blur, and before they knew it, they had lost consciousness. They carried the two teens to the waiting car and sped off into the night to an unknown destination. Little did Luna and Luca know, the boys there were actually working for Ama and Dike. Their job was to deceive young people and lure them into the boarding school. What Luna and Luca didn't realize was that their parents were behind the very place that was about to ruin their lives. When the children woke up, they found themselves in a strange all-girls and boys boarding school. Boys and Girls Haven, the very school their parents had created, where children were trapped and forced to endure the same horrific fate that her kids are about to face. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Ama went into the children's room the next morning to wake them up for school, only to find the rooms empty. She searched everywhere. After a few hours, she told Dike and asked him to come help her. And they quickly realized their children were gone. Panic set in. They turned the house upside down, searched the grounds, and even called their friends and contacts, to no avail. Dike, using his powerful connections, hired private investigators to launch an all-out search. But days turned into weeks, and still there was no trace of Luna and Luca. The couple went from frustrated to downright desperate. They hired private detectives, the police, and even the local army, but the kids were nowhere to be found. Ama and Dike refused to believe their children were gone forever. They started trying everything. They tried prayers, but not the way most people would. They called in a fortune teller who claimed they could communicate with the spirits. The fortune teller kept saying that the gods are silent, asking for more money, that the gods need more money before they will speak. But it was clear that no matter how many candles they burned, or how much they gave, or incantations they recited, their children remained missing. It was only after 2 weeks of fruitless searching that Ama's blood pressure was dangerously high. In a panic, Dike called in a local witch doctor to work their magic, offering sacrifice, using charms, and performing rituals in the dead of night. But nothing worked. Their children were still gone. After months of the endless search, a call came in, a call from the boarding school. It was the head nurse, who sounded frantic. "Madam, we have a serious problem," she said. "One of the new girls, she's really ill. We don't know what to do. We have tried everything, but her condition is getting worse every day." Ama, still dealing with the shock and stress of losing her children, barely processed the news. She snapped back. What do you mean? Are you expecting me to fly there myself? You're the ones getting paid to handle these kids. She scoffed. If you can't fix her, just let her be. What Ama didn't know was that they were talking about her daughter Luna, and her illness was far more serious than it has ever been. Luna is pregnant now, something neither she nor Luca had prepared for. Luna's condition had worsened due to the complications of high blood pressure during pregnancy. She had been on medication to manage it, but since arriving at the boarding school, she had no access to the necessary medication. Her health deteriorated rapidly. As the days went by, Luna's condition became critical. The midwives tried to help, but they didn't have the proper equipment or medicine. Ama still refused to intervene, claiming she was too busy with the frantic search of their missing kids. She ignored all calls. So did Dike. A week passed, and Luna passed away in the middle of the night, in the arms of her brother Luca. The other children, used to the deaths in the school, stood by silently. This wasn't the first death they had witnessed. The staff quietly buried Luna's body in a mass grave at the back of the school, along with others who had died in silence. It was just another day, another unfortunate child lost. Luca, heartbroken and angry, blamed himself for convincing his sister to go partying with him. 6 weeks after Luna's death, Ama drove down to the boarding school in Bonny. She came in her luxurious car, escorted by her usual heavy security. It was her routine visit, the day she came to inspect, supervise, and handle her secret operations. The day started like every other one she had overseen for years. The students were lined up in the main hall, waiting quietly for inspection. Ama walked in with her usual cold authority. Her eyes scanned across the room as she counted the boys and girls. Then it happened. From the middle of the room, a voice called out softly, "Mommy, Mommy." Ama froze. Her eyes darted sharply towards the sound, and there he was, Luca, her own son, standing among the children trapped in her school. Ama's body weakened instantly. Her knees buckled. She didn't stagger back. She lost all strength and had to grip a nearby desk for support. Her heart hammered violently. Her breath caught in her throat. She couldn't even speak. The world around her tilted. Her son, in the very place she created to destroy other children. Before anyone could understand what was happening, Ama hurried out of the hall and stumbled towards the car park. She was shaking so badly she couldn't even re-enter her main SUV. She opened the door to one of the escort cars instead and ordered, "Drive, drive now." Meanwhile, the guards gently took Luca out of the hall and placed him in the main security SUV. He was confused, relieved, and frightened all at once. He couldn't understand why his mother looked horrified instead of happy to see him. Over the phone, he kept asking, "Mommy, what's going on? Why are we here? What is this place?" But Ama could not speak. They drove for hours back to Port Harcourt in complete silence. When they finally got home, Ama ran into the house crying uncontrollably. She called Dike and told him everything. Dike's face went pale. He rushed to Luca, took him into his arms and asked, "My son, how did you end up there? Where is your sister? Where is Luna?" Luca broke down as he explained the party, the strange drinks, waking up in the school, seeing terrible things, and watching Luna suffer for days before she died. At the mention of Luna's illness, Ama and Dike froze in horror. Goosebumps rose on their skin. They remembered the calls from the school about a sick girl needing immediate care, calls they ignored. They realized the truth. Their own daughter had been the girl begging for help. Both parents collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. The weight of guilt suffocated them. They had created a monster, and the monster swallowed their own children. Luca, confused and hurting, kept asking, "Mommy, "Daddy, what were you doing in that place? Why are children kept there? What is happening? That place is like hell." But Ama and Dike said nothing. They just cried. That night, Luca couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the children still trapped in that school, and the way his parents had refused to speak the truth. By morning, he made up his mind. Without telling anyone, he left the mansion and took the security vehicle straight back to Bonny. He told the driver, "Take me to Boys and Girls Haven. I am Ama and Dike's child," with command. They know better not to annoy the madam's kids. No one questioned him. His face alone was enough proof. Luca entered the school again, willingly this time, determined to free the others. Hours later, Ama and Dike realized Luca was missing. When they questioned the guards, they nearly fainted. "Oga, your son went back to the school on his own." Ama screamed. Dike felt the room spin. They raced to Bonny. In the private office, Ama and Dike begged Luca to live with them, but he stood his ground. "I'm not going anywhere," he pointed at the building. "You either shut this place down and set all these children free, or you forget about me too." Ama collapsed into the chair. Dike's hands trembled. They had just lost Luna. They were about to lose Luca too. Yet, shutting down the school meant losing everything. Their empire, their wealth, their reputation. They were torn apart. Luca's eyes burned with disappointment. "You destroyed other people's children. Now it has destroyed your own family too. If you won't end this, then I would rather stay here and suffer with them than go with you." He pushed them away and ordered them to leave. They left the school broken. He had his phone with him and he began recording the rooms, the treatment, the nurses, the guards, the conditions, the true purpose of the school. He gathered solid evidence, knowing his parents would eventually come back for him. A week later, they did. They dragged him home by force, insisting they couldn't lose him. Luca didn't resist because he already had everything he needed. At home, he tried to convince them, "Turn yourself in, end this, do the right thing." But Ama and Dike refused. That same night, Luca uploaded multiple videos anonymously to news outlets, bloggers, and social media. He sent more evidence along with a message: "Investigate this place. More proof will follow." The story exploded. When Ama and Dike saw the storm rising against them, they panicked and attempted to flee the country. But Luca ran straight to the police station. He presented all the evidence. He identified himself as Ama and Dike's son, the boy who had gone missing. The police believed him. They shut down the school. Arrests were made. The entire operation collapsed, and Ama and Dike were taken in to be questioned and eventually face justice. Ama broke down under the intense investigation and confessed to all their crimes. Ama also admitted that they had used their NGOs and training centers as cover for money laundering, secretly funneling money for their wealthy clients. Her confession was broadcast live, and the entire nation was left in shock and disbelief. People were horrified, and the country was left terrified by the extent of the evil that had been allowed to thrive under Ama and Dike's control. At first, Dike denied all the allegations. He tried to distance himself from the truth, claiming he had no knowledge of the illegal activities happening in the school. But as Ama's confession continued, he was cornered and eventually he gave in. Dike admitted his role, revealing just how deeply involved he was in the operation and how far his greed had taken them. The couple, along with their evil staff who had been complicit in the crimes, were all sentenced to life imprisonment with hard labor. The girls who had survived the horrors of the school were placed in group therapy to help them recover and adjust to life outside the horrors they had endured. The government offered full scholarships to the victims to help them start anew and build a future they never thought they would have. Other NGOs around the country rallied together to support the girls with accommodation, food, and job training, helping them reintegrate into society and find meaningful work. Meanwhile, the government shut down the clinic where the babies had been sold and confiscated Ama Dike's assets, liquidating most of them for public use. A special task force was created to ensure that no one would be able to exploit children in this way again, setting out to uncover similar networks and end the dark operations for good. The moral of this story is clear. Don't throw stones in the marketplace because you never know who they may hit. This isn't just a fictional story. It is based on events that had happened and continue to happen today. It serves as a reminder for us to protect our children. Let me know your thoughts on this story and what lessons you've learned from it in the comment section below. If you haven't done so yet, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family so we can help others learn the lessons. We need help to protect our children. Until I bring another juicy and interesting story your way again. Bye-bye.